Hi everybody and welcome to this video on growing your own. My name is Becky Cole. I'm based here at Brookgammon Farm just outside of Ballycastle, and today I'm going to be sharing some quick tips to help you get started with your seeds and your plants. The first thing that you'll want to do is get sowing your seeds, and you should have received some packets of seeds like this. And it'll really depend on what you've got, but if you look on the back of your packet, you'll see that there is actually a little graph here, and this is fantastic because it gives you the idea of when you can sow indoors, when you can sow outdoors, and when you're going to need to plant it outside. So that's your first thing to do, is to figure out when you can plant these seeds. Next up is to grab yourself a container for sowing your seeds in. Now this doesn't have to be the final container for your seeds, although you can sow directly into the final container if you want, or into your beds. But ideally what I like to do is grab a little set of modules like these here, that we can just get these from a garden centre. These are really handy because you can see what's coming up and then you can move them onto a bigger pot later on. You can even just grab anything that you've got in your house or your kitchen. So here we've got some empty egg cartons. I love growing into these. Sometimes I even get the empty eggshells and I actually plant directly into those, and they look gorgeous. And then I can just take that whole little plug, the plant and the eggshell, and plant that directly into my containers. So that's a nice idea as well. You can even get something like a yogurt pot, or like a tray that maybe mushrooms come in, and all those can be used to grow seeds as well. But what you will need to do is make holes at the base of those containers. You can see here that this container has got holes in it, so you want to recreate that by just poking through a sharp object into the base. Once you've picked your container, you've prepped the base, it's time to get sowing. So this really couldn't be simpler. What you're going to need is some good quality all-purpose compost. Make sure it's peat free, and you're going to need your container, and you're going to need your seeds of choice. I'm going to grab some of these cucumbers here, and I'm going to plant these out. And just before I get going with them, I always check the back of the packet as well and just see how deep they need to be sown. In this case, they need to be 1/4 of an inch deep in the soil, and that's perfect. So the first thing now is to get all this compost into this pot. You can pat it down a little bit just to make it nice and full, but don't firm it down too much. Get your seed packet and grab your seeds. Now these cucumbers are nice and big, so you can probably just about see them there in my palm. And I'm going to get my seeds and I'm going to push them in about 1/4 of an inch deep into this pot. Just like that. And then I'm going to get some more compost and I'm just going to put that on top and firm it in. And that is my seeds sown. Very, very simple. Now definitely make sure that you label your seeds because it's so easy to forget. I'm always forgetting what I've sown, so I like to write it down. And I'll just pop that on there. You can also put the variety and the date as well, and you just pop it in there. And now the next thing to do is to give this a really good water, and that's to help get the seeds kick-started, help them germinate, and then place this container in a nice warm sunny area. It's going to take a couple of weeks for your seeds to come through and become seedlings, but just keep an eye on them, keep them nicely well watered, and once they get a couple of inches high, you can actually just take them out and pop them into a bigger container or plant them out into your garden. You might have also received some herb plants. Now I love growing herbs. They are not only delicious, but they're also pretty easy to grow, and they love growing in containers, and these are something that I always have growing on my doorstep, mainly because it's just so easy to harvest them and use them in the kitchen when they're close to hand. So what I'm actually going to do with my herbs is I'm going to plant them in a little window box like this one here that I found in our shed, and you can also put them in a little terracotta pot and they would look fantastic. The main thing to remember is with mint, just don't put mint out into your main bed. The reason for this is mint is a bit of a bully in the garden, and it does love to take over garden beds. So keep your mint in a container and it will perform really well for you. But if you want to plant your herbs out into a container, again, it's just so simple. You just need to create a little bit of space in your soil, take out your plant and pop it in, and just get the firm up all the soil around it, sort of tuck it into its new bed. And there's some of the mint as well. And this is something that you could actually even put on a windowsill, and it will look really pretty and nice and green and smell lovely as well. I also have some oregano, so I'll pop that out. And then there's some parsley as well, which I'll pop in there. Really, really simple. And then don't forget to give that a nice water in once it's all finished. And in a couple of weeks' time, this will have really grown up and you'll have a wonderful supply of herbs for your kitchen. Finally, it's time to get to grips with your veg plants. Now, these veg plants are fantastic because they're nice, big, healthy size, so they're ready to go into your garden bed right now. You can also grow these in containers if you want. Things like the lettuce or any sort of leafy veg can be grown in most containers, or even a grow bag. The only thing to remember is if you've got something like carrots, they're going to have quite a long root, so you want to make sure that you put them in a nice deep container. But apart from that, really, there are no rules, just go for it. So I'm actually going to plant these lettuce out here in our bed in the polytunnel. And lettuce is pretty easy. It likes a bit of sunshine and it likes lots of watering. So I'm going to make sure that I look after these by watering them every single day. And I'm digging here a little hole in the ground, pop in my lettuce and firm in around. Really, really, really simple. I'll do another one here. And you'll want to give a little bit of a space between each plant so that they don't get overcrowded. And like I said before, it's just a matter of digging in a hole nice and deep. Don't plant them too shallow. And get your plant in there. I'm doing this with one hand, so apologies. And just give it a little bit of a firm up around the plant. And the most important thing now is to give this a really good water in so that your plant can get off to a good start. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got some tips and ideas for growing your own veg and plants at home.